Welcome everyone to another inspiring 30 Goals keynote speaker. We have Cristina Silva today. Cristina, can you say hi to the audience?
Hi everyone, my name is Cristina Silva. I come from Porto in the north of Portugal, and I'm really glad that you took the time to be here with me and listen to me. And I want to deeply thank Shelley for the invitation and for being part of this wonderful community. Thank you, Shelley.
Well, thank you for being here. So I'm going to go ahead and let you know a little about our story and how had a large impact on the 30 Goals too. In fact, I mentioned her, she didn't know at the time, but I had put her in my book. I referenced one of Christina's blog posts. So she's going to bring up her slide shares. Oh, you have the book. Okay.
Of course I do. This is a must-have. This is a must-have. And everyone should have this. It's a fantastic way to reflect on the way we teach and the way we want to change our teaching. So everyone should have this. Okay, go ahead, Shelley. Go ahead.
And when as she brings up her slides, I'm going to let you know a little about her professionally as well. So Cristina, I met her through the 30 Goals and through her blogging. And what I really loved about her blogging was that it was very honest. When she had joined one of the other 30 Goals teachers projects, which is Theodora, which you'll hear as a keynote later as well. She really spoke how it was kind of a turning point because she felt like there was not so much excitement anymore, and so it was just a really wonderful the way she put it, and so it was so wonderful. I quoted her in the book. But Cristina is a teacher. She's been teaching EFL for the past 20 years in Portugal, and she's currently national and international project coordinator at her school. She's responsible for several e-twinning projects. And she's a frequent attendant of training courses and seminars in Oxford. And so I'm going to let her inspire you with her presentation now.
Okay, Shelley, thank you very much. So today I decided to take you on a small journey to the first cycle of the 30 Goals back in 2010. And why am I going back? Well, because this was when a specific goal actually impacted my methods and triggered a change in my teaching approach. And this goal was so important for me. And the goal was step out of your comfort zone. And you know how difficult this is most of the times for us. Okay? So I had a problem, which was I had to reflect about what my comfort zone was, because it differs from person to person. So everyone has his or her own comfort zone. I had to find mine. And I came to the conclusion that my comfort zone was to have everything under control with no possibility of losing the grip of it. So the idea, for example, of introducing technology in class, replacing notebooks by tablets and smartphones just left me really uncomfortable. I mean, you can see and check what a student is writing in his notebook, but how do we do it when they're using a device? And so I had to figure out how and what I would do. And this process took ages. I started following people on social networks such as Twitter and Facebook and G+, etc. Actually, the first person I ever started following was someone called Shelley Sanchez-Terrell. And I first heard of her some years ago in Oxford when I was doing a teacher training with my loving friend, Janet Bianchini, and she said, "You must follow Shelley. It's a must. You will learn a lot from her." And she was absolutely right. So I started following her, learning. I started reading blog posts, many blog posts. First, I was just lurking, and then slowly I started blogging myself, interacting and building my PLN, my personal learning environment, or as Shelley likes to call it, my passionate learning environment. And then finally, as I read other educators' experiences, I started gaining confidence to risk doing different things as well. It's very difficult to abandon the way you have been teaching for several years, especially if you've been on the business for as much time as me. I mean, 20 years. In fact, it's quite hard. It's laborious. So why change, right? But when I started, I felt way more motivated, and so did my students, and this community really helped me a lot. So I'm going to give you a few examples of how I stepped out of my comfort zone. So first, I started using technology in class. And this was the first small, huge step for me. I was actually the first teacher in my school to do it, to ever allow students to have tablets and smartphones in class. So suddenly, I became the cool teacher that let students do cool things. And that was really rewarding for me. Then, every now and then, I started allowing students to forget their traditional classroom, I don't know how to call it, layout, display, whatever, and embark on a new one, like the one you see in the picture, or I hope you see in the picture. So with the younger ones, this was regarded as a prize, and most of the times they begged me to do it more often. Then, as I was already connecting with teachers from all over the world, I started doing small projects with other countries. And I started with We're on the Air, that Shelley has just mentioned. This was a project that Theodora Papp from Greece started. It's her project. Then Fabiana Casella also joined us, and together we built this project. And this particular project was video-based. So students had to produce a video about their hometown and share it with the partner countries. And it was a success for all involved. We were very, very happy. Okay, other things. I started Skyping with classes from countries as distant as Kazakhstan, for instance. And you can see that on the pictures too. So the students had to prepare props about their cities. They brought flags, they brought everything they thought about at the time. So they prepared these things in advance so that it could be shown to their peers. And everything was settled before the broadcasting days. And because of time zone, we had to have several days assigned. And this was an incredible experience, as the cultures of our two countries were really different. And, well, despite some internet connection issues, as usual, it went just fine. And in these pictures, you see me working with 6th graders. It was fantastic. Well, I also started Skype Mystery Guest, which is an activity you can easily do. You find someone willing to be, I would say, literally bombarded with questions that students prepare in advance, and tell them nothing. You tell them nothing about the person they're going to interview, and it worked really well. Actually, in the pictures you see Rick Bartlett is also from the US. He was living in California, and I was living in Wisconsin. So he had to wake up at 5 a.m. just to be with us in class. He's an excellent communicator. I was really very fortunate to have him with my kids. It was really, really good to do this. Then, besides the projects, I started flipping the classroom. So basically what I did was to record videos, and I used different tools like EasyVid that you see on the bottom right corner. And then I share them with the students so that they could watch them at home, and then I would ask them to perform a task and assess how effective this autonomous learning had been. Actually, I use Edmodo for all my sharing. So on the left, there is a video with grammar that I assigned for them to watch at home, and then they had to do the tasks I asked them to. And then I was getting more and more confident, so I went on to more challenging and also time-consuming things, projects, I would say. And I finally started a student exchange programs without a program without the schools. So basically what we do, the two schools involved decide on what kind of activities or projects they're going to work on. But some of them are mandatory. For example, they have to attend classes in the host school. And this, I can tell you, is the best part of it. Now, I do this privately. I have no funding. So this is a host and go basis, right? So what the students and the teachers that accompany the students, what basically they have to do is to pay for the plane fare, and all the rest is provided by the school and the host families. So in these situations, it's good to have an even number of students, and this worked really, really, really well. So far, I went to Hungary, to Budapest, like you saw in the PowerPoint, and this year we went to Belgium, and now they're coming to Portugal in September. And my students are really excited to have them here. Now, this all sounds very good, I know. The thing is that you have to overcome some barriers. You have school boards, you have sometimes non-cooperative colleagues, you have parents, sometimes you have lack of tech devices, you have big classes, and I assure you I did have some of these, right? So what did I do? Well, my first advice is to start convincing your colleagues, right? So find a colleague, find a teacher that likes the same things you do. Okay, so if your ideas spread positively, you will have an army ready to fight with and for you. Okay, so find someone that likes the same things, that enjoys the things you're doing, and you get someone to work with. And the more, the merrier, of course. Then move on to the principal and show him or her the advantages of your ideas. Actually, what I did, I wrote them down and printed them. I printed the benefits of what such experiences can bring to the school and to the students. And once they see them on the paper, it is easier because they can take the paper home, they can read, you can always email them, whatever, but it's good to have them on your side. Then once you have the board and the colleagues on your side, it is easier to deal with, I would say, unhappy or misinformed parents. So bear in mind that innovation sometimes scares people off. I had a few issues with some parents. Why on earth was I sending videos to their kids? They should be learning at school, not at home. And internet, for some parents, it's really a mystery, and some of them can't even use it. They can't even use a computer. So my suggestion is just that you should meet with the parents, meet with them, explain your ideas, and ease their concerns about your new methods, right? And also be available for them. I don't know, through email, mobile, or Edmodo. It's a good way to have them going. If they don't have email, just try your mobile. I know it's a bit an invasion of your privacy, but for a start, maybe it works. So if your school, another thing, if your school does not provide students with devices, have them bring their own, okay? If they're not enough, which happens frequently, have them work in pairs, in groups, lend your own. I do this all. Don't give up, okay? These are all 30 students. This year I had one with 32. I have 210 students every year, all right? And I assure you, I was able to do it. So never give up. That's my advice. If you are comfortable and happy with what you're doing, if you believe in it, if you do it with passion, your audience will feel that passion and enjoy what you have prepared for them. And as an example, just to finish my presentation, I would like to say this. I still remember my 10th grade philosophy teacher. And I can assure you this was not my favorite subject whatsoever. But she taught us with such passion that I've never forgotten her or her classes. She doesn't even know that I exist, but I still remember that when she got into class in winter, she would take her coat off and she would start moving her arms. She was really passionate about that. And I felt that I felt cozy in her classes. That's it. So passion is really contagious, and if you can spread this, you will definitely be successful. So I guess this is it. It's just a bit of my story with the 30 goals and how this goal, I had many other goals that have impacted me, but I think this one was the one that actually pushed me forward and made me want to do something different. Thank you very much.
Wow, yes, thank you so much, Cristina.
Okay.
That was awesome. It's great advice, and yes, I think that's something we all need to hear. Those of us who are integrating tech, really at any level, that you've got to kind of keep fighting and not get down whenever those obstacles come up.
Yeah, because they do come up. They do come up. They do.
Okay, so Shelly's going to have to leave because she's going to be at her presentation for her Free Friday webinars for American TESOL. So I'm going to look through the chat. We didn't have any specific questions for you, Cristina.
I do want to say something before I go, because
okay.
I still have time since you ended. Your presentation was so beautiful, and I just wanted to say, because I know you all don't get to see what happens, the conversations we have before, but Cristina was saying that she wanted to make sure I wasn't disappointed, but that was amazing. It was really beautiful, well said, really succinct. And,
thank you.
Thank you so much. That was just incredible what you said, and I really like what you all the tips you said, even you know, getting parents involved and sharing your story and journey as well. So thank you so much. Big hug.
Thank you.
Yes, and so I really love your idea. Thank you so much. I hadn't heard of the idea. We've done mystery Skypes with classes, but not with just with mystery guests. So in mystery Skypes with our classes, we try to determine where each other are located. But just trying to figure out about I think that's such a deeper kind of. It's not just related to geography necessarily or map skills and things like that, logic. But man, that's just a great. I'm really excited about that. Ilse said that they signed for it. Signed up to register to do it, and you've inspired me to do that too. So
yeah,
I'm definitely looking forward to it.
It was great because they didn't know where Rick was coming from. I didn't tell them anything. They just knew that he had to get up very early, so they started guessing, where is he from? Then from the accent, they started saying he's from the U.S. He's from the U.S. And they started making him questions, and I had to actually stop them. And I couldn't do this with all my classes because of time zone. And the other ones were really mad at me and they said, why did you do this with class C and you didn't do this with us? So they were really, really anxious to do that. So I really advise people to give it a try. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I have a question for you.
Okay.
For teachers who there's really not, you're the sort of the lone wolf in the school as far as being innovative. If it's difficult to find a colleague within your school, what do you recommend to sort of, how do you find your allies, or how do you determine who best to choose as your allies within the school? How do you, try to bring people on board if you don't have people that are already excited about it?
Yeah, well, the first thing I did was to teacher train them. So what I did, I gave a session about technology for those who wanted. We actually called it pedagogy 21st century, something like that. And so the teachers who wanted to enroll, they went, and some of them were really excited with the tools that we share with them. But actually, that was not really the way I started. I started with someone who works in my department, and I knew that once I started mentioning these things to her, she would be excited, because I know the things she likes. That's why I say get an ally, get a pal that likes the same things that you do. And then we started just the two of us, and then the word starts spreading, and they say, look, they're doing nice things and stuff. So that's how I started. I started with one, and now I have a very, very small army behind me, but we're getting there. I think we're getting there.
Oh, absolutely. That's great advice, too. I guess I had another question for you that, excuse me. Oh, geez, I just completely forgot what I was going to ask. Oh, Fabiana said that she's having that, kind of suffering from that, and that that Skype is prohibited from. They don't have access to Skype at school, so that's tough. But it does take those small steps. So my question was really about, I did a lot of lurking for a long time online before I began engaging. Also, how did you sort of gain the confidence that now's I'm going to go ahead and start putting myself out there a little bit and trying new things? Really, what I know, you said you lurked for a bit too. Was there something that just gave you that spark to I'm going to try this?
Well, actually, I started lurking, just watching, and then I started interacting in webinars, chats. That's where I started. I say, hey, I'm here, I'm from Portugal. And then I did my first presentation. It took 3 minutes. It was a 3-minute presentation with Ariana Blazic from Croatia and Bart de Fezel from Brussels. The two of them have something called Teach Meet International. And they organize small presentations, 3 minutes presentations. That was my first, and I was so nervous. You have no idea. And it was 3 minutes. But first, my first interaction was through the chat boxes. So I started saying, hi, I'm from Portugal. And suddenly people started answering me, wow, you're from Portugal. And I started answering questions, and they started getting back to me. So that was the way I started. And then I felt more confident to start blogging, and I started my blog some years ago.
Well, that's awesome. So
yeah.
That's exactly what we're doing right now. I'm getting to meet some people and to connect with some people in the chat for yours. So the same way that you began, you're inspiring others. So hopefully, if people are watching but not joining in the chat, jump in and share.
Yeah, if you asked me some years ago, or if I would never imagine that I would be here talking to you all. Never, ever. And the 30 goals gave me that confidence. I have to be honest. It did. So I started seeing people like me, and they're doing things. Yesterday I was listening to Lisa Dabbs, and the way, and she used a word. She said, I reinvented myself. And I kept that in mind, and I was listening. I was actually on my phone listening to her keynote, and I said, yeah, I did that too. I sort of reinvented myself too. And actually this year I made my first live presentation for the Portuguese Association of English teachers in Lisbon. I went to Lisbon and I spoke to a whole audience in an auditorium. I would never ever do that if it wasn't for this, for the 30 goals. So what else can I say?
That's so awesome. And it's so powerful that you're so inspiring. There's a couple of really quick questions. How did you find? Anna wants to know, how did you find mystery guest for the Skype? That's what I was saying. So there's a place to register for that as well.
Well, there is.
Or you just
Skype,
did that on your own.
But I did that on my own. I went to Facebook and I just asked, would anyone like to Skype with my classes? And I got a few answers, and that was it. So I have
that's so powerful. Just reaching out and actually having the courage to ask, I think it's just really powerful.
Yeah, I did that, and Rick Barclay, we had done a MOOC together before, and immediately said, I'm available, count on me, and I did, and it was awesome. But I have a large community of teachers on Facebook, but I know that in Skype there is an option that you can look for mystery guests, but I just used Facebook. It was easier for me.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's the Mystery Skype Twitter also. I didn't know that Mystery Skype had its own Twitter. I just thought that you went to Skype and went to Skype for Classrooms. Benjamin Stewart has one more question for you. Which is more challenging, or was more challenging for you, getting buy-in with the colleagues or getting the students on board? I don't. For me, I think I know which one, but
colleagues. Students just loved it. Actually, at the time I started with mobiles in my class, you know, the doors, they have a small window. So my students, I had to ask for a special permit to do it in my classes. So I had to go to the board and said, I want to use mobiles in my classes. What? Are you crazy? It's not allowed. Well, in my school, they can bring mobiles, but I know some schools where they can't even take them to school. But in my school, they are allowed to bring them, but they can't have them in class. So I had to ask for a special permission. And then I still remember the faces of my colleagues where they were walking in the corridor and they looked inside my classroom and they saw all my students, you know. What are they doing? Are they texting? And then I had to explain, no, I'm using, web tools. Really? And that's how it started. At first it was really, really funny to see their faces. But then now many teachers are using tablets and smartphones in class as well.
Well, we're not. It's just different in different places here. That there are places where there are schools from town to town. Some schools will allow it, even within schools. Some schools or districts, some schools will allow it, and some schools won't. Yeah. And it's just awesome to hear that you've already overcome all of this and the things that you're getting to do now. And thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And yeah, this was so inspiring. I'm going to come back and watch it later too. So
okay, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for being here. And bye-bye.
Bye.